tit for tat.
In the heart of Abudu, a village filled with gossiping elders, mischievous children, and never ending family disputes, lived a woman named Ada. She was no ordinary wife. Ada was sharp, beautiful, and had the patience of a lioness waiting to pounce. She was loved by some and feared by others, especially by her husband's scheming relatives. Ada had heard all what her husband's family did to their son's ex-wife. She was prepared for them, so she agreed to marry Emeka when he proposed. Her husband, Emeka, was the unfortunate kind of man, one who was easily influenced by his family. His mother, his sisters, and even distant cousins had a hold on him, using him as a tool in their endless battle against any woman who comes closer to him. But Ada was not one to sit and weep. If they gave her fire, she returned with fire. If they played tricks, she played smarter. The day Ada married Emeka, she should have known trouble was coming. The signs were clear. His mother, Mama Emeka, refused to smile throughout the wedding, only forcing a tiny lip expression when people looked her way. Emeka's sister, Ego and Olama, were whispering, gossiping behind her back, looking at Ada, eyeing her as if Ada was an unwanted guest at her own wedding. As the wedding continued, Ada's best friend pulled her aside and said, see how your in laws are looking at you, as if you have stolen something from them. Ada smiled. Let them look. I am now their wife, whether they like it or not. But she underestimated the storm she had walked into. 1 week after the wedding, Ada woke up early to make breakfast for her husband. In many African homes, the kitchen was a battlefield, and Ada quickly realized that her in laws had no intention of giving up their space. As she entered the kitchen, she met Ego standing by the firewood stove, stirring a pot of soup. Olama started nearby peeling yams. Good morning, sisters, Ada greeted, forcing a smile. Ego, stop. Which sisters? Do we share the same mother? Olama got angry. What are you doing here? You want to show us you know how to cook? Ada ignored the provocation. I want to make breakfast for my husband. Ego rolled her eyes. Our brother is not a stranger here. He eats what we cook. Or are you trying to separate him from his family? Ada inhaled and exhaled. This was going to be a long war. One evening, Ada made a delicious pot of egusi soup, filling it with pieces of meat meant for Emeka. But when Emeka sat down to eat, he shouted and called Ada, 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 what is this? Ada, where is the meat? Ada's heart skipped. What do you mean? I put 5 pieces for you. Emeka turned the plate around. Only a lonely boy staring back at him. Then they heard laughter from the next room. Olama and Ego were laughing hard. Ada did not talk. She walked out of her husband. Ada knew she had to act fast. If she let Ego and Olama get away from with stealing Emeka's meat, they could only become bolder. She needed to teach them a lesson in a way they wouldn't forget. The next day, she made another pot of soup. this time ensuring there was enough meat for Emeka. But before serving him, she secretly removed the meat and hid it in a small bowl. As expected, Ego and Olama sneaked into the kitchen when they thought no one was watching. Ada pretended to be busy outside, but through a small gap in the door, she watched as the two sisters lifted the pot leg and scooped out what they thought was meat. Ada is foolish, egoistic, putting a big meat in her mouth. Very foolish, Olama agreed, chewing greedily. But suddenly, their eyes widened. Olama spit out the meat first, followed by Egu. They screamed. Ada walked in slowly, arms folded across her chest. What is the problem? Olama coughed. What did you put in the soup? Ada pretended not to know anything. Just the usual seasoning. Oh, I forgot to mention. I added dried bitter cola to the meat. My grandmother said it's good for cleansing the stomach. Ego ran outside to spit. Drinking water. Olama followed, drinking water as if their life depend on it. Ada smiled to herself and said, "You have not seen anything yet." Despite Ada's cleverness, she had one major problem: her husband. Emeka was a man easily influenced by his family, and Ada knew that her in laws used him as their weapon. That evening, Emeka returned home looking upset. Ada, why did you poison my sisters? He demanded. Ada smiled. Poison? How? I only cook with bitter cola, which is a natural ingredient. How is that poison? They said you did it to punish them. Did they also tell you they stole your meat? Emeka paused. Well, they said they were just tasting the soup. Ada laughed bitterly. Tasting or stealing? Emeka shook his head. Ada, you know they are my sisters. Can't you just let things go? Ada stared at her husband, disappointed but not surprised. I see. So when they insult me, steal from me, and treat me like an enemy, I should just keep quiet. Emeka felt uncomfortable. I just want peace in this house. Ada shook her head. Emeka, peace is only possible when there is fairness. If your family stops treating me like an outsider, there will be peace. But Ada knew better. Emeka would never defend her. If she wanted justice, she had to take it into her own hands. One day, Ada decided to go to the village market to buy foodstuffs. She took Emeka's money, carefully counted it to ensure she bought everything they needed. While she was bargaining with a meat seller, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Ah, Ada, so you are now spending my brother's money like water. She turned and saw Ego and Olama standing there with angry face. Ada smiled. Ah, my dear sisters-in-law, you are also in the market today. Olama folded her arms. What are you even buying? If you like, cook the best food. It won't change anything. My brother will always listen to us. Ego laughed. And don't forget, you are just a wife. You came to meet us here, and we will still be here if you leave. Ada nodded. That is true. You were here before me, and you will still be here when I leave. She turned back to the meat seller. Give me the biggest cow leg you have. Ego's smile faded. You are wasting my brother's money. Ada ignored them. Well, I need energy to deal with all the stress I'm facing. All I'm aghast. We shall see how long you last in this house. Ada turned to them, her smile sharp, and we shall see how long you last in my kitchen. When Ada returned home, she wasn't surprised to find Mama Emeka sitting in the compound, waiting for her. Ada, come here! The old woman barked. Ada walked up to her. Mama, good evening. Mama Emeka ignored the greeting. Why are you wasting my son's money buying expensive meat? Are you trying to kill him with hunger? Ada smiled sweetly. Mama, I am only cooking well so that your son will be strong. Mama Emeka's face twisted. Strong? My son was strong before he married you. Now he's looking tiny every day. Ada resisted the urge to laugh. Mama, if Emeka is tiny, maybe you should ask your daughters who eats his food before he gets home. Mama Emeka got angry. Are you insulting my children? I am just stating the facts, Mama. Mama Emeka pointed a shaking finger at her. You will not last in this house. Mark my words. Ada bowed slightly. Mama, I'm ready. Let the game begin. Days passed and the tension in the household thickened like an overcooked pot of yam porridge. Ego and Olama insulted Ego all the time, teasing her, attacking her wherever she was, while Mama Emeka wore their mischiefs like a chief commander in a battle. One morning, Ada walked outside to find her favorite cloth missing from the washing line. She, she searched everywhere but couldn't find it. Suspicious, she walked over to Ego's spot and peeked inside. There, lying on Ego's sleeping mat, was her missing dress. Ada smiled to herself. So, this is the game they want to play. She walked back to the house and waited for the perfect moment. That evening, just as Ego was stepping out, Ada screamed. Thief, 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 thief. My cloth had been stolen. Emeka ran out of the house. What is happening? Mama Emeka and Olama rushed outside too. What is this noise? Ada pointed at Ego. Mama, my dress was stolen. And look at what your daughter is wearing. Or I turned to Ego, who was wearing the stolen fabric. I just borrowed it, said Ego. Ada put her hands on her lips. Borrowed? Did you tell me? Or is this how borrowing works in this family? Mama Emeka quickly stepped in. Ada, it's just a dress. Why are you making noise over a small thing? Ada shook her head. Ah, so stealing is now a small thing. If I take something from Ego tomorrow, I hope you will call it borrowing too. Mama Emeka's face darkened. Ada, don't test me. Ada folded her arms. Mama, I have only just begun. After the dress incident, Ego and Olama became more careful, but Ada knew they couldn't stop, so she planned her next move carefully. One afternoon, she prepared a pot of delicious jollof rice, and as usual, hide her husband's portion. Then she took the rest to the kitchen, knowing her sisters in laws couldn't resist stealing. But this time, she had a little help from a harmless but effective sleeping portion made from local herbs. As expected, Ego and Olama sneaked into the kitchen, scooped large portions into their plates, and ate greedily. 20 minutes later, Ada found them snoring loudly on the veranda, their stomachs full. Mama Emeka came out and shouted, What happened to my daughters? What happened to my daughters? Wake up, wake up. Ada shook her head innocently. Ah, Mama, maybe they are just tired from all the stealing. Emeka arrived to see the scene and looked at Ada. Ada, what did you do? Ada smiled. I only cooked food. If some people can't control their hands, whose fault is that? Mama Emeka pointed at her. This is war, Ada. You think you are smart, but I will show you that you are nothing in this world. Ada smiled sweetly. Mama, I am ready. Mama Emeka was furious. She accused Ada of poisoning her daughters, and so the whole village heard about it. Ada knew she had to defend herself before the situation got worse. So she went straight to the village elders and called for a family meeting. The elders gathered in the compound and the matter was brought before them. Ada is trying to kill my daughters, Mama Emeka said. One of the elders, Baba Wunso, turned to Ada. Daughter, did you poison the food? Ada folded her arms. Baba, I only cooked food. If my sisters in law stole from the pot table and fell asleep, is that my fault? Or should I now cook without salt because thieves might steal it? The elders said, Oh, but salt is not a poison. Another elder spoke. Mama Emeka, this is not a poison case. She said she only put a salt in her food, and your daughters are even still alive, standing there. Your daughters ate food that wasn't meant for them. Let them learn to control their greed. Mama Emeka's face twisted in anger. She had lost this round, but Ada knew she couldn't give up easily. That night, Emeka confronted Ada. Ada, must you always fight with my family? Ada's eyes burned with frustration. Emeka, they started this war. They steal from me, insult me, and now accuse me of poisoning them. And you are saying nothing. Emeka said, Ada, they are my family. I can't abandon them. Ada's heart sank. And what am I, a stranger? Emeka avoided what she said. I just don't want trouble. Ada's chest tightened. She had always known her husband was weak, but for the first time, she realized something else. She was alone in this life, and she would have to win it by herself. Ada decided it was time for the final strike. She had played small games, but now she needed something bigger, something they would never forget. So she went to the village herbalist and got a secret ingredient, itching powder. That night, she sneaked into Mama Emeka's pot and carefully sprinkled the powder inside their cloth, bedsheet, and handkerchief and hairband. Then she waited. By morning, screaming filled the compound. My body is on fire. Olama cried, screaming, scratching. Ego ran outside, her face covered in red pimples. Something is biting me. Mama Emeka stormed out, scratching her arm. This is witchcraft. Ada has done something to us. Ada stood by the doorway, her arms crossed. Ah, Mama, maybe it's just your conscience itching you. Emeka rushed to his mother's side. Mama, are you okay? Mama Emeka pointed at Ada. This woman is evil. She must leave this house today. Ada smiled. If I leave, who will cook for your son? Who will take care of this home? Emeka hesitated. Mama Emeka grabbed his hand. Emeka, if you don't send her away, I will curse you. Ada's heart pounded, but she remained calm. Emeka chose wisely. Emeka looked at his mother, then Ada, and then his sisters. He made the worst decision of his life. Emeka swallowed hard as he looked between his mother and his wife. His face was twisted with intention. and Ada watched him closely, knowing that that moment would determine everything. Finally, he breathed in and out and turned to Ada. Ada, I love you very much, but I think it's best if you leave for a while, just to let things cool down. Ada's heart went cold. She had expected many things from Emeka, but this was betrayal. Mama Emeka clapped her hands. Good, my son has spoken. Ada, pack your things and leave. Olama and Ego, still scratching from the itching powder, were laughing and clapping. Ada smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a woman who had been wronged and knew revenge was coming. Emeka, you have made your choice. Ada said calmly. I hope you will live with it. Without another word, she walked into the house, packed her few belongings, and left. Ada didn't cry. She didn't beg. Instead, she went straight to her parents' house. Her father, a well respected hunter in the village, welcomed her with open arms. Any man who cannot defend his wife is not a man, he said. You will stay here, my daughter. When he realizes your worth, he will come begging. Ada smiled. He will regret this, Baba. Just watch. And so Ada stayed with her family, cooking delicious meals, dressing beautifully, and enjoying peace for the first time in a long while. Meanwhile, back in Emeka's house, things were falling apart. At first, Mama Emeka and her two daughters celebrated Ada's departure. They laughed, danced, and declared victory. But within days, they realized their mistake. Emeka came home expecting a hot meal, but there was none. Mama, where is my food? He asked. Mama Emeka, no. Ah, can't you see I'm tired? Go and ask your sisters to cook. Emeka turned to his sisters, who looked at each other nervously. We don't know how to cook like Ada, Olama admitted. Emeka exhaled. Then learn. But their cooking was a disaster. The rice was either burnt or uncooked. The soup tasted like water. And worst of all, there was no meat because Ada was no longer there to scratch, manage, and make sure there was always meat in the household. Emeka suffered. He missed Ada, soft pounded yam, her delicious soup, and most of all, her ability to keep order in the house. Within 2 weeks, he had lost weight. And that was just the beginning of his problems. Word spread quickly in the village. People whispered about how Emeka had foolishly sent her wife away, a good wife at that. At the village square, one old woman shook her head. I saw this coming. Ada is sharp like a razor. Emeka was blind. Another man laughed. Let's see how long his mother will cook for him. Meanwhile, men started approaching Ada. She was beautiful, hardworking, and now free. Men from, men from neighboring villages came with gifts, hoping to win her over. But Ada was not in a hurry. She had plans. 3 months later, Emeka could no longer bear it. His clothes were loose from hunger. His house was always messy. His sisters had turned on each other. Mama Emeka had fallen sick from stress, and there was no one to take care of him properly. 3 months later, Emeka could no longer bear it. His clothes were losing from hunger. His house was always messy, and his sisters had turned on each other. Finally, with his pride in his pocket, Emeka went to Ada's father's house. He found Ada sitting in the compound, dressed beautifully, laughing with her younger brother. She looked healthy and happy without him. Emeka knelt before her. Ada, please forgive me. I made a mistake. Ada raised an eyebrow. Oh, you finally realized. Emeka swallowed. I was foolish. I let my family control me. Please come back home. Ada said, home? You mean the place where I was insulted and mistreated? Emeka looked down. I will change, I promise. Mama and my sisters will behave. Ada stood up and stretched. Emeka, let me ask you something. If I had been the one to send you away, would you have taken me back? Emeka opened his mouth. I had no answer. Ada shook her head. Emeka, I will not return to that house as a foolish wife. If I ever come back, it will be on my terms, and I will no longer thoroughly disrespect. Emeka nodded quickly. Yes, anything you say, Ada, just come back. I will think about it, as I said. But one thing is clear this time I'm in control. Ada returned, but she was no longer the same person. She became a good wife, a good, a good sister-in-law to her family because they started treating her like a sister-in-law. Mama Emeka and her daughters were not allowed to interfere in her marriage. Ego and Eloma begged her and asked for forgiveness. As for Emeka, he had learned his lesson. He no longer listened blindly to his mother. Instead, he did everything possible to keep Ada happy because he knew what if she ever left again this time, it would be forever. The end.